Welcome back to my channel, everyone. We're continuing our journey through the greatest mythological epics of the world today. We travel to the ancient lands of China, to a time before time itself, where chaos reigned and creation was born from darkness. The story today is titled The Creation of the World, the Chinese myth of Pangu and Nuwa. Chapter 1. The chaos before heaven and earth, before time began, before sky and earth had form, before light and darkness knew their names, there was only chaos. It was a boundless, swirling void of mist and silence, without shape, sound, or color. No stars glittered, no mountains stood, and no gods had yet awakened. The universe existed as an endless egg of nothingness, where all things slept in unity and confusion. For countless eons, 10,000 upon 10,000 years, this cosmic egg drifted in stillness, heavy with potential yet unmoved. Within it, the forces of yin and yang lay tangled, darkness and light pressing against each other, swirling and coiling in eternal embrace. Then, deep within that swirling womb of creation, something began to stir. A single pulse, a spark of consciousness. The first being of the cosmos was awakening Pangu. When Pangu opened his eyes, the void trembled. Light pierced through the blackness, forming the first sunrise. His breath became the wind, his voice the thunder. His body grew vast and powerful, filling the egg until his limbs touched the edges of chaos itself. Yet Pangu saw that all was still muddled and confused, light and darkness bound together, heaven and earth pressing upon each other. So, with a mighty cry that echoed through eternity, he reached for his great axe, forged of primal energy, and struck. With one swing, he split the world in two. From the blow, a blinding radiance surged upward. This became heaven, light and pure, ascending endlessly. The heavy darkness fell downward. This became earth, thick and solid. Between them stood Pangu, holding the heavens aloft with his hands and pressing down upon the earth with his feet, separating the two realms and giving birth to space itself. Each day, heaven rose higher and earth grew thicker. Each day, Pangu grew as well, his body expanding 3 meters taller with every sunrise, matching the growth of the cosmos. For 18,000 years, he stood thus, the guardian between worlds. His breath became the winds and clouds. His roar became thunder. His eyes blazed like twin suns. When he laughed, stars were born. When he sighed, comets streaked across the firmament. But holding heaven and earth apart was no small burden. Pangu's strength was immense, yet the labor was endless. His muscles strained, his back arched, his bones groaned beneath the weight of creation. Still, he endured, knowing that if he faltered, the world would collapse into chaos once more. In the silence between storms, Pangu pondered the meaning of his existence. "I was born from chaos," he whispered to the winds. "But for what purpose? To separate light from shadow? To give form to the formless? Or merely to hold what must be held?" No voice answered him, only the endless rustle of wind and the pulse of stars being born. Yet in that silence, Pangu felt a strange peace. He saw that, from the meeting of heaven and earth, life had begun to stir. Teeny sparks, glimmering like dew in the cosmic dawn. The first mists of water rose from the newborn oceans. Mountains began to tremble into being. The sky shimmered with colors unseen, and the earth beneath Pangu's feet solidified into stone. He felt the pulse of rivers, the sigh of forests unborn, the whisper of spirits yet unshaped. Creation was beginning its long, patient song, but the years weighed upon him like mountains. As ages passed, Pangu's beard grew long like rivers. His hair darkened like the night sky, his breath became storms, and his sweat fell as rain. He could feel his strength fading, his purpose nearing its end. Yet, as he looked upon the world, vast, stable, and alive, he smiled. At last he murmured, "Heaven stands firm, above earth rests strong below. My task is done." And with that final breath, Pangu closed his eyes. His colossal body shuddered, and the world trembled as the first titan of creation fell. From his death, life was born anew. His breath became the four winds, his voice, the rolling thunder, his eyes, the sun and moon, his hair and beard, the stars and constellations, his blood, the rivers and seas, his flesh, the fertile soil, his bones, the mighty mountains, his marrow, the precious minerals of the earth. Even the lice and insects upon his body transformed into the first living creatures, scattered by the wind to populate the newborn world. And thus, from sacrifice came creation. Yet, though heaven and earth now stood apart, balance remained fragile. Without harmony between yin and yang, the cosmos could collapse once more into turmoil. The world had form, but not yet soul. And so, as the last of Pangu's spirit drifted through the winds of eternity, new forces began to stir within the corners of heaven and earth. From the mists of creation, another presence began to awaken, gentle, radiant, and filled with compassion. It was the beginning of a new age, the age of Nuwa, the goddess who would bring life and love to the silent world left behind. Chapter 2: The Awakening of Nuwa. The heavens were blue and bright. The earth was solid and green. The rivers flowed in endless song, yet silence still ruled the world. The trees swayed, but had no spirits. The waters moved, but had no purpose. The sky arched above, grand and perfect, but without laughter, without tears, without life. Pangu's great body had become the earth itself, and his soul had scattered into the wind. But from that divine essence, from the mingling of heaven's light and earth's dust, a new being began to awaken. She rose from the cradle of mist and sunlight, her figure graceful and radiant. Her eyes shimmered with the reflection of stars. Her hair flowed like rivers of night. Her robe glowed with the hues of dawn. Where her feet touched, flowers bloomed. This was Nuwa, the mother of creation. When Nuwa first opened her eyes, she beheld the vastness of the world, the mountains that reached the heavens, the oceans that whispered against the shores, the sky shimmering with the breath of Pangu. Everything was beautiful and yet empty. She wandered across plains and valleys, through forests and clouds, marveling at the wonders around her. But as the days passed, an ache began to grow within her heart. "All is perfect," she said softly, "but all is lonely. The rivers sing, but there are no ears to hear. The flowers bloom, but no eyes behold their beauty. The stars shine, but none gaze up in wonder." Her words drifted through the heavens, carried by the wind that once was Pangu's breath. The world echoed her longing. Nuwa knelt beside a river that sparkled like liquid jade. She looked down at her reflection, serene, luminous, divine. And then a thought came to her like a whisper from the cosmos. If I am born from heaven and earth, perhaps I too can create. She gathered the yellow clay of the riverbank and shaped it in her hands. With delicate fingers, she molded the clay into small figures, heads, bodies, arms, and legs. They were crude at first, but filled with care and love. When she finished shaping the first, she lifted it to her lips and breathed upon it gently. The clay shimmered and then moved. The figure blinked, raised its tiny arms, and laughed. It began to dance upon the earth, alive with wonder. Nuwa gasped in joy. "You are alive," she said, her voice trembling. "You are my children." One by one, she shaped more figures, each with different faces, gestures, and spirits. Some tall, some small, some strong, some graceful. With every breath of life she gave, the world grew brighter. These were the first humans. They spread across the valleys and hills, curious and joyful, their laughter filling the one silent world. They played in the rivers, sang beneath the stars, and built homes from the gifts of the earth. Wherever they went, the land seemed to awaken anew, forests greener, rivers clearer, skies bluer. Nuwa watched them from afar, smiling with pride. "Now the world has heart," she said softly. "Now it knows joy." But creating life was no simple act. Each figure of clay required time, patience, and energy. As the days passed, Nuwa grew weary. Her hands trembled, her breath slowed. She looked upon the clay riverbank and sighed. "There are so many lands," she whispered, "so many rivers, so many places still empty. How will I fill them all?" She dipped a reed branch into the clay and shook it. The droplets that fell to the ground turned into new people wherever they landed. Some were strong and noble, others humble and frail, yet all shared her spirit of life. Thus, humanity multiplied, filling the corners of the world. For a time, peace and harmony reigned. Humans lived close to nature, honoring Nuwa, who watched over them like a mother watching her children. She taught them how to speak, how to sing, how to build, how to love. Under her care, the world became a garden of light and laughter. Yet even paradise was not eternal. The heavens, though vast and strong, still bore unseen scars from Pangu's separation of chaos. The earth beneath was restless, trembling with hidden energies. Deep within the mountains, the balance of yin and yang wavered. One fateful day, the sky trembled. The pillars that held up the heavens began to crack. Lightning tore through the clouds. Mountains shattered. Rivers changed course, and fire fell from the heavens. Nuwa stood upon a cliff, her golden eyes filled with horror. "The heavens are breaking," she whispered. "The world, my children, are in peril." The sky split open, and a great serpent of fire emerged, coiling through the heavens, tearing apart the stars. Floods rose from the oceans, and the earth began to crumble. Humans cried out to their mother, their voices carried by the storm. Nuwa's heart ached with anguish. "I gave them life," she said. "I will not let the heavens destroy them." As thunder rolled and lightning struck, she spread her arms, and divine light enveloped her form. Her hair blazed like the sun, her robe shimmered like the moon. The power of heaven and earth surged within her once more, the legacy of Pangu awakening in her veins. Thus began her greatest act, the repairing of heaven. Chapter 3. The Broken Sky. The day the sky broke, the world screamed. It began with a sound of deep, cracking thunder that rolled across the heavens, shaking the peaks and valleys of the newborn earth. The colors of the dawn twisted into chaos. The blue of the sky bled into black and red as lightning tore through the clouds. The heavens, once vast and beautiful, began to split apart like shattered glass. The four pillars that upheld the firmament, mighty mountains, formed from Pangu's bones trembled, and cracked. Rivers reversed their flow. Stars fell like rain, and the sun wavered, dimming as though suffocating beneath the weight of heaven's despair. Mount Bujo, the western pillar of the world, bore the worst of it. With a sound like the roar of 1,000 dragons, it split down the middle. The sky above it sagged, torn open, leaving a gaping wound that bled fire and darkness. From that wound descended chaos once more. A colossal serpent of flame, Gong, the god of water and chaos, rose from the depths of the earth. His eyes burned with fury, his scales shimmered with blue fire, and his tail churned the oceans into towering waves. His roar echoed across the lands, shaking forests and mountains alike. "The heavens are unjust," he bellowed. "They favor order over freedom, law over chaos. I will tear them down and drown their false balance." With every lash of his tail, mountains fell. With every scream of his voice, the earth cracked. Storms rose, the seas overflowed, and the stars dimmed. Nuwa saw it all from her heavenly abode, and her heart broke. The humans she had created were fleeing in terror villages, swallowed by floods, plains turned to ash, and mountains consumed by fire. "My children," she whispered, "I will not let the world end again." Descending from the heavens, Nuwa stood upon the trembling earth, surrounded by fire and flood. Her robes shimmered with celestial light, her hair flowing like black rivers against the chaos around her. "Gong, she cried out, her voice echoing like thunder. "Cease your madness. The world is new and fragile. Destroy what has just begun to live." But Gong only laughed, his serpentine body coiling around the broken peaks of Mount Bujo. "Because it is weak," he hissed. "Because balance is a lie. Only chaos is eternal. I was born from it, as was Pangu, as are you. You deny your own nature by protecting this fragile piece." Nuwa's eyes blazed with divine fury. "Then I will deny you and save what must endure." The battle that followed shook the heavens themselves. Nuwa summoned the light of the sun and moon, weaving it into chains of pure energy. She hurled them toward Gong, wrapping his burning body in celestial light. But the god of chaos broke free, roaring, his tail striking with the force of storms. The earth split, volcanoes erupted, and rivers of molten fire poured across the land. Every strike between them was like the clash of stars. Nuwa wielded the elements of creation, light, wind, and harmony, while Gong commanded destruction, flood, shadow, and rage. The balance of yin and yang quaked beneath their struggle. Mountains fell, oceans boiled. The cries of humanity were lost beneath the fury of gods. At last, Gong reared back and struck the mountain that supported the heavens, the great Mount Bujo, with his flaming horns. The impact was cataclysmic. The mountain shattered completely, its peak torn away and hurled into the sky. The heavens above buckled, collapsing in a roaring storm of light and shadow. Nuwa was thrown to the ground, her power nearly spent. She looked up and saw the impossible. The sky was broken. Through the cracks, the void beyond creation seeped in, an endless darkness swirling with forgotten chaos. Hungering to reclaim the world, the stars flickered and died. Rivers rose and swallowed the land, and the balance that Pangu had once fought to create was unraveling. Nuwa fell to her knees, her hands pressed into the trembling earth. Around her, she could feel the cries of her children, the humans she had molded from clay, calling for her, their voices filled with terror and hope. Her tears fell upon the ground, each drop shining like a pearl. "I cannot let it end," she whispered. Pangu gave his life for this world, and I gave mine to bring it life. I will not let chaos consume it. She rose slowly, her eyes now glowing with fierce determination. Her voice rang out like the song of creation itself. If heaven will not stand, I will mend it. If chaos returns, I will drive it away. I, Nuwa, Mother of Life, will restore the world even if it costs me all that I am. The winds stilled, the seas calmed. Even Gong paused, sensing the power that now radiated from her being. Nuwa lifted her hands to the heavens. From her body shone a brilliant light, the same light that had birthed stars. Around her, the broken sky shimmered, waiting. And so began the great repair, a divine act of courage, sacrifice, and love that would forever shape the destiny of heaven and earth. Chapter 4. The goddess who mended the heavens. The world lay in ruin. The mountains had fallen, the rivers boiled, and the sky hung shattered above the trembling earth. Flames poured from the wounds of heaven, and from below, the black waters of chaos rose, threatening to swallow all that existed. Nuwa stood at the center of it all, her face pale but resolute, her robes torn and darkened by smoke and ash. Around her, the air itself screamed, torn between creation and destruction. Yet within her heart, one light remained, the love for the fragile, precious world she had brought into being. I must mend the sky, she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. If I fail, all life will be devoured by the void. The search for the heavenly stones. Nuwa set forth upon a great journey, traversing the ruins of creation in search of something that could heal the heavens. She wandered across lands drowned by flood, through forests that burned with eternal fire, and across deserts where the bones of fallen gods lay buried beneath the sands. In the ruins of Mount Kunlun, once a mountain of light, she found what she sought. Hidden deep within the heart of the earth were 5 sacred stones, each glowing with a color of divine power. The red stone, blazing with the fire of life. The yellow stone, pulsing with the breath of the earth. The blue stone, whispering with the calm of water. The white stone, shining with purity and light. The black stone, deep and still, the essence of balance. Each was a fragment of the primal chaos, tamed by the breath of Pangu himself. Nuwa knelt before them, tears falling like rain. Lend me your strength, she pleaded softly. Help me restore what was broken, and preserve the world Pangu died to create. The stones answered with a pulse of light, silent yet full of consent, forging the sky. Nuwa carried the stones to the highest peak that still stood. The journey was long, and her divine power waned with every step. Yet she pressed onward, her heart unyielding. Upon reaching the summit, she gathered the 5 stones and placed them before her. With her own divine fire, the breath of creation itself, she melted them down. For 9 days and 9 nights, the flames roared. The molten stones shimmered like liquid stars, their colors blending into one radiant light that painted the sky in hues of dawn. The earth trembled under the weight of her work, but Nuwa did not stop. Sweat and blood fell from her body, mingling with the divine metal, binding her essence into it. When the fire finally subsided, Nuwa held in her hands a vast celestial seal, a fragment of pure creation, glowing with all the colors of the cosmos. With this, she whispered, I shall heal the wounds of heaven. Mending the heavens, she rose into the air, her form shining like the sun. Slowly, carefully, Nuwa placed the divine seal upon the torn sky. The molten light flowed from her hands, spreading across the cracks, closing the wounds one by one. Where the seal touched, the darkness retreated. Stars reignited, rivers found their paths again, and the air grew calm. But every crack she mended drew power from her very soul. Her hair turned silver, her voice weakened, and her once radiant aura dimmed with every act of restoration. Still, she continued, for the world depended on her. When the final tier of the heavens was sealed, Nuwa fell back to the earth, exhausted beyond measure. Her once glorious form flickered, her divine power nearly spent. Yet above her, the sky was whole again, a dome of shimmering light and scattered stars, beautiful and serene, the four pillars and the balance of the world. Though the heavens were mended, the earth still trembled, unbalanced and broken. The collapse of Mount Bujo had left the world tilted. Rivers flowed endlessly eastward, and storms gathered unceasingly in the north. Nuwa looked upon the chaos and knew what must be done. She called forth the great creatures of the world, the tortoise, Ao, ancient and wise, who had lived since before the dawn of time. She bowed before him. "Noble Ao," she said softly, "I ask your aid to steady the world." The tortoise bowed in return, understanding her purpose. "Take what you must, Mother of Life." Nuwa wept, but she did as she must. With divine sorrow, she took the 4 legs of the tortoise and placed them at the corners of the world, forming the new 4 pillars of heaven. The sky stood firm once more, the goddess's last gift, yet the floods still raged, and the fires of Gonggong still burned in the depths of the earth. So Nuwa gathered the ashes of the divine stones and shaped them into charms, sealing the fires beneath the ground. She commanded the dragons of the sea to calm the waves, and she sang a song that lulled the storms to sleep. Finally, peace returned. The rivers glistened under the sun, the mountains stood tall, and the humans once again lifted their faces to the sky, whole and bright. The price of creation, but the cost had been great. Nuwa's divine essence had been poured into the very fabric of the world. Her light faded, her body growing transparent as she looked upon the reborn heavens one last time. "My work is done," she whispered. "Let the world remember, not my name, but the beauty of the sky." And with that, Nuwa vanished, her spirit merging with the wind, the water, and the earth. From that day forth, whenever the rain fell gently upon the soil, the people said it was Nuwa's tears, the goddess still watching over her children from the heavens she mended. Chapter 5. The Birth of Balance. After Nuwa had mended the heavens and restored the pillars of the world, a fragile calm settled over the earth. The rivers flowed, the mountains stood, and the humans began to rebuild their lives. Yet, beneath the surface of the newborn world, a subtle unrest lingered. Chaos, though weakened, was not gone. The remnants of Gonggong's fury lingered in the currents of rivers, the gusts of wind, and the tremors of the mountains. The heavens and the earth, though stitched together, were not yet fully in harmony. Light and darkness wavered, warmth and cold clashed, and life struggled to find its rhythm. Nuwa, now existing in spirit rather than form, gazed upon the world she had sacrificed so much to save. She realized that while she had healed the physical realm, the invisible forces of yin and yang, the balance of opposites, still needed to be established. "The world cannot thrive without balance," she whispered. "For life to flourish, darkness must dance with light, and order must embrace chaos, the gathering of the elements." Nuwa traveled across the lands unseen, but felt in every whisper of the wind, in every ripple of the rivers, and in every leaf that quivered in the sun. She called forth the essence of the elements, fire, bright and consuming, to bring energy and transformation, water, flowing and reflective, to sustain and purify, earth, solid and enduring, to provide support and stability, wind, free and elusive, to carry life and change. From these elements, she drew the first threads of balance. Light would temper darkness, warmth would temper cold, and growth would harmonize with decay. The dance of Yin and Yang Nuwa's voice rose in a melody that echoed across mountains, valleys, and skies. From her song, the twin forces of Yin and Yang emerged. Yin appeared as a gentle shadow, flowing like water and cloaked in the cool colors of night. It was still, reflective, and nurturing, embracing silence and patience. Yang shimmered with radiant light, golden and fierce, flowing like fire and radiating energy, growth, and movement. At first, Yin and Yang moved in opposition, pulling against each other like opposing tides. Storms surged, rivers swelled, and the earth trembled with the push and pull of these primal forces. Nuwa raised her hands, singing a song of unity, teaching them the rhythm of balance. Slowly, Yin and Yang began to circle each other, weaving around the mountains, rivers, and stars, forming a cosmic dance. Where Yin touched Yang, shadows softened. Where Yang touched Yin, warmth spread. Night and day, rain and sun, cold and heat, everything began to find its natural rhythm. The harmony of life with the dance of Yin and Yang established. The world grew steady. The rivers no longer flooded without warning. The mountains stood tall. The winds carried seeds and song across the lands. Humans thrived under the guidance of these forces, learning to respect both the calm and the storm, the dark and the light. Nuwa's spirit whispered to them, teaching them the first principles of harmony. Life is not about denying one force for the other. It is about balance. To live fully, you must embrace both light and shadow, action and stillness, strength and gentleness, the creation of seasons. From the interplay of Yin and Yang, the seasons were born. Spring blossomed with life as Yang's energy warmed the earth, while Yin lingered in the cool shade to nurture growth. Summer burned with vitality, tempered by evening breezes of Yin. Autumn ripened the harvest under balanced skies, and winter taught endurance and reflection through the soft touch of Yin's frost. Through these cycles, humans learned to live in harmony with the natural world, understanding the rhythms that guided life and death, growth and decay. The guardians of balance Nuwa's work was not complete, for chaos still lurked in hidden corners, and humans were vulnerable to forgetting the lessons of balance. So she created the 4 symbols mythical creatures to protect the world and ensure harmony. The azure dragon of the east, guardian of the spring and the rising sun. The vermilion bird of the south, bringer of summer and warmth. The white tiger of the west, protector of autumn and discipline. The black tortoise of the north, keeper of winter and endurance. These guardians patrolled the lands, skies, and seas, maintaining the order that Nuwa had woven from the chaos. A world in harmony at last. The forces of Yin and Yang, the elements, and the guardians worked together. The world thrived with rhythm and harmony. Humans sang songs of gratitude. Mountains and rivers stood in majesty, and the sky glimmered with stars aligned in eternal balance. Nuwa, though now invisible, remained ever present in spirit, guiding, protecting, and nurturing. Her first creations, the humans, honored her by living in respect for nature, for balance, and for the cosmic dance of life and death. "Balance is eternal," she whispered on the winds. "It is the foundation of all life, the rhythm of heaven and earth, and the legacy of creation." Chapter 6. The first heroes of humanity. After the heavens were healed, and the balance of yin and yang established, the world began to flourish. The rivers flowed with crystal waters, the forests thrived, and the skies shone with stars that whispered the stories of gods. Humanity, born from Nuwa's own hands, multiplied and spread across the land. They built homes along the rivers, hunted in the forests, and planted seeds in the fertile soil. Yet though they were alive, they were still fragile creatures of flesh and spirit, filled with wonder, fear, and a yearning for purpose. Nuwa, now one with the wind and the clouds, watched them with pride and sorrow. She had given them life, but not immortality. She had granted them love, but also loss. It was time, she knew, for humanity to find its own guardians among themselves, heroes who would protect the balance she had restored. The birth of courage. In the valley of the Yellow River, where mountains kissed the clouds, there lived a young man named Huang, whose eyes were as bright as morning light. He was strong, fearless, and kind-hearted, a hunter who shared his food with the weak and his fire with the cold. One night, as he sat by the river, he looked to the stars and whispered, "Mother of creation, if you still watch us, tell me why men suffer and die. Tell me how to protect my people." The wind stirred, carrying a soft voice through the reeds. Nuwa's whisper, "You cannot stop death, my child, but you can give your life meaning. Protect, create, and love. That is the path of heroes." Huang bowed his head, feeling her spirit surround him like a warm wind. From that night forward, he vowed to guard his people from harm. The first war of mortals. Peace never lasts forever. Deep within the mountains, remnants of chaos still lived, creatures born of Gongong's wrath, shadows that despised the new order. One such being, Chiyu, rose from the ashes of the broken heavens. He was a beast of metal and smoke, with horns like iron and eyes that burned red as molten stone. Chiyu gathered the dark spirits, the demons of the old age, and forged weapons of thunder and flame. "Let the world return to chaos," he roared. "Let man remember fear." The humans trembled. Storms tore through their villages. Rivers rose, and beasts stalked the night once more. But Huang stood firm. He united the tribes under a single banner and forged the first weapons of light. Spears tipped with stone, bows strung from devouring vines. "We will not return to darkness," Huang declared. "We are the children of Nuwa, born to build, not destroy." And so began the first war of mortals, a clash that would echo for generations. The battle at the Fields of Thunder. The sky turned black as Chiyu's army marched. Smoke choked the air, and the earth shook with every step of the beasts. But Huang led his warriors onto the open plain, the lightning flashing above them. The battle raged for 9 days and 9 nights. Thunder split the heavens, and rain turned the soil to blood. Chiyu laughed as storms obeyed his will, hurling fire and wind upon the humans. Yet Huang called upon the balance of yin and yang, remembering Nuwa's words. He took water from the rivers to quench the flames, and when darkness fell, he called the light back with torches lit by faith. When the dawn finally came, the beasts fell silent. Chiyu roared in fury and charged. his body blazing like molten iron. Huang met him with a spear of pure jade, a gift, he believed, from the goddess herself. With one final strike, he drove the weapon through Qi Yu's heart. The earth shook, and silence fell. The humans had won. The rise of the Yellow Emperor. After the war, Huang was crowned the Yellow Emperor, Huangdi, the first ruler of humankind. He built great cities along the rivers, taught his people to farm, to heal, and to write the first symbols upon bamboo. He decreed that balance must rule every act, day and night, work and rest, war and peace, all guided by the eternal dance of yin and yang. Nuwa's spirit watched over him, whispering in the wind. Under Huangdi's rule, humanity flourished. Villages grew into towns, and songs replaced the cries of battle. The return of wisdom years passed. Huang grew old, but his wisdom only deepened. He sought the secrets of the stars, the patterns of the earth, and the harmony between heaven and man. He journeyed to the sacred mountain Tai, where it was said the boundary between worlds was thin. There, at dawn, he meditated beneath a tree of golden leaves. Nuwa appeared before him, no longer as a goddess of form, but as light itself. "You have led my children well," she said. "But remember, no empire lasts forever. Only balance endures." Huang bowed deeply. "Then I will leave behind not a throne, but a way, a path for men to live in harmony." And so he wrote the first teachings of order, the principles that would one day inspire the Tao, the way of the universe, the legacy of the first heroes. When Huang died, the heavens shone brighter than ever. A golden dragon descended from the clouds and carried his spirit to the stars. The people mourned him, but they also celebrated his life, for he had brought them peace and understanding. From his lineage came kings and scholars, warriors and poets. Humanity grew wiser, stronger, and closer to the rhythm of heaven. The first heroes, Huang, his companions, and those who fought beside him became constellations, watching over the world for eternity. And so, from the hands of Nuwa came life, and from the courage of mortals came civilization. The gods had created the world, but it was heroes who gave it meaning. The heavens watched in silence, content at last. Chapter 7. The Wrath of the Fire God. Long after the death of the Yellow Emperor, the world entered an age of glory. Humanity thrived, cities rose high, and knowledge spread like flame across the land. The teachings of balance of yin and yang guided their hearts. But balance, once achieved, is always fragile. For where there is harmony, there are those who envy it. And among the gods who watched the mortal world, one burned with pride and anger, the fire god, Zhurong, keeper of divine flame and lord of the southern heavens. The pride of the fire god, Zhurong's fire, was pure and eternal, a flame that had once warmed creation itself. He ruled over the blazing stars and guided the warmth of the sun. But as humans learned to control fire, using it to forge metal, to cook their food, to drive away beasts, Zhurong's pride began to burn with jealousy. "These mortals steal from the heavens," he thundered. "They wield my flame as if it were theirs. They forget who gave them light." His anger grew until it filled the heavens with smoke and thunder. He looked down upon the world and saw humans building great towers, crafting bronze weapons, and calling themselves kings. "I will remind them," he swore, "that fire belongs to the gods." And so Zhurong descended from the heavens, the scorching of the earth. When his chariot of flame touched the earth, mountains cracked beneath its heat, rivers boiled into steam, and forests burst into fire. The sky turned crimson, and ash rained from the heavens. Villages burned, crops turned to dust. The people cried out to the heavens for mercy, but none could calm the wrath of the fire god. Bow before the flame that gives you life, Jurong roared, his voice echoing like thunder. Yet, amidst the chaos, one mortal refused to kneel, a warrior named Gong Gong, lord of the water clans. He ruled over the rivers and seas, and his power flowed cold and deep. Your fire destroys what the world needs, Gong Gong said, raising his trident. If you bring destruction, I will bring the storm. Thus began the war of fire and water, a battle that would shake heaven and earth. The battle of the two gods on the fields of the southern sky. Flame and water clashed. Jurong hurled bolts of fire that scorched mountains into glass, while Gong Gong answered with torrents that drowned valleys and extinguished cities. Lightning split the heavens. The seas rose to meet the stars. The people fled in terror as their world was torn between inferno and flood. You are arrogant, Jurong, Gong Gong shouted. The world belongs to balance, not your fury. Then drown with your balance, the fire god roared. Their battle raged for 9 days and 9 nights, until even the gods trembled. The pillars of heaven shook, and the stars flickered like dying embers. The fall of Mount Bujo in his rage. Gong Gong struck the sacred Mount Bujo, one of the 4 pillars holding up the sky. The mountain cracked with a thunderous scream, and the heavens tilted. Fire and water poured through the breach. The northern lands sank beneath the flood, and the southern plains burned in unending flame. The stars fell like rain, and the moon bled red. Realizing his mistake too late, Gong Gong wept. His tears turned into rivers that flowed endlessly eastward. I have doomed us all, he whispered. Charon, though victorious, stood over the ruin with hollow eyes. His fire dimmed, and he saw what his pride had done. The world scorched, the heavens wounded. Nuwa's return from the silence of the ether. Nuwa's spirit awoke once more. The cries of the dying world reached her through the winds of chaos. Descending from the heavens in a halo of light, she looked upon the destruction, fire devouring land, water swallowing life. My children, she said sorrowfully, you have forgotten balance once more. She turned her gaze upon Jurong and Gong Gong. Both fell to their knees before her radiance. Your flames and floods are part of creation, Nuwa said, but without restraint, even divine power brings only ruin. She raised her hands, and the heavens trembled. The floods receded, the fires dimmed, and the broken mountain began to heal. But the scars remained reminders of what pride and fury could do. Judgment and forgiveness, Nuwa judged both gods before the world. Jurong, she said, you will return to the southern heavens and guard the fire of creation, not as a weapon, but as a light for all. Jurong bowed, his flames now calm and golden. I understand, mother of the world. I shall burn, but never consume. Then she turned to Gong Gong. You have wounded the sky, but your tears brought new rivers. You will guard them forever, ensuring they flow in peace. Gong Gong wept again and accepted his fate. His form dissolved into mist, merging with the seas and rivers that would forever carry his sorrow. The aftermath, Nuwa sealed the heavens once more, but the tilt of the world could not be fully undone. The rivers continued to flow eastward, and storms still gathered in the north. It was a scar that would never fade, a reminder that even gods must bow to the law of balance. When the fires cooled and the floods withdrew, humanity emerged from the ashes. humbled but wiser. They built new temples to honor the gods not in fear, but in reverence for the forces that sustained their world. And so the people learned a truth that would echo for generations. From fire comes life, from water, peace, but only balance keeps the world whole. Chapter 8. The Queen of the Moon and the Elixir of Immortality. After the great fire and flood, peace returned to the mortal realm. The heavens once again shone with balance, and Nuwa's blessings allowed life to bloom anew. Yet the scars of chaos remained. The skies dimmed, and 10 suns rose and set in uneven rhythm, burning the earth by day and chilling it by night. The people prayed to the heavens for salvation, and from those prayers a hero emerged, Yi, the greatest archer ever born. The 10 suns. Long ago, the Jade Emperor had 10 sons, radiant beings of light, who took turns crossing the sky each day as golden suns. For ages they followed the order of heaven. But one day the young sons grew restless. "Why must we rise one by one?" said the eldest. "Let us shine together. The world will be brighter," cried another, ignoring their father's warning. All 10 suns rose into the heavens at once. Their combined fire scorched the earth. Rivers dried, crops burned, and beasts fled into the mountains. Mountains turned black, and the sea steamed like a cauldron. Humanity stood at the brink of extinction. The cries of mortals reached the heavens again, and the Jade Emperor wept. Unable to strike his own sons, he summoned Yi, the archer from the east. Yi came from the eastern sea, a man of divine strength and calm spirit. His bow was forged from the heart of a fallen star, his arrows tipped with the scales of dragons. When he saw the suffering of humankind, his heart burned with fury. "I will bring balance to heaven once more," he vowed. He climbed Mount Kunlun, the sacred pillar between heaven and earth, and called upon the winds to steady his aim. The suns blazed above him like fiery eyes. "O reckless children of the sky," Yi cried, "your light destroys life. Return to your path, or I will darken you forever." But the suns laughed, raining fire upon him. And so Yi raised his bow. The 9 fallen suns, the first arrow flew. Thunder cracked, a sun shattered into sparks and fell into the western sea. Then another and another. With each arrow, a sun fell screaming, their fire fading into golden embers. The earth trembled, the heavens wept, and the sky dimmed until only one sun remained. The Jade Emperor descended in wrath. "Yi, you have slain my sons." Yi knelt before him, bow lowered. "They would have burned the world, Majesty. I spared one to keep life alive." The emperor's heart ached with loss, but he saw truth in Yi's words. "For your courage, I grant you immortality," said the Jade Emperor. "But for your bloodshed, you shall live among mortals, not gods." And so the hero descended from the heavens, carrying both glory and exile. The mortal life, Yi wandered the lands, teaching men the art of the bow, how to hunt, and how to live in harmony with nature. His fame spread wide, and his heart found peace when he met a woman named Change, graceful as moonlight, wise as the stars. They married beneath the silver sky, and their love became legend. Yet, in his heart, Yi still longed for the immortality he had been denied. Seeking redemption, he journeyed to the Queen Mother of the West, who guarded the peaches of eternal life atop Kunlun. Moved by his humility, she offered him 2 drops of the elixir of immortality. "Drink together with your beloved, and you shall rise as gods," she said. but drink alone, and you will ascend while leaving all you love behind. Hu Yi returned home with the elixir, vowing to share it with change when the time was right. The betrayal of the disciple. But among Hu Yi's disciples was one man, Pangu, whose heart was dark with envy. He lusted after both the power and the beauty of change. One night, when Hu Yi was away, Pangu broke into their home, demanding the elixir. "Give it to me, or I will slay you both," he shouted, drawing his blade. Change trembled. She knew she could not fight him. In desperation, she took the elixir herself, swallowing both drops at once. Her body glowed with blinding light. The earth trembled, and she rose into the heavens, her tears falling like silver rain. Pangu fled, terrified by what he had done. The ascent to the moon change drifted higher and higher, her heart torn by sorrow. She did not wish for immortality without her love. Yet the elixir pulled her upward until she reached the moon palace, cold and silent. There she remained, glowing softly, her face forever turned toward the earth, toward Hu Yi from then on. Her form appeared on the moon each night, and lovers prayed to her for eternal devotion. She became Change, the moon goddess, queen of the silver realm. Hu Yi's grief. When Hu Yi returned and learned the truth, his heart shattered. He raised his bow toward heaven and cried out, "O heaven, you take all I love, my glory, my peace, my wife." But his arrows could not reach the moon. Each night, he placed her favorite fruits and cakes upon a table beneath the moonlight, whispering her name. And on the 15th night of the 8th month, the moon shone brightest, a sign that she watched him still. The people, seeing their sorrow, began to honor the moon in memory of their love. Thus was born the Madadam festival, when mortals gaze upon the same moon and remember that love outlives even death. The lesson of heaven from her palace of jade. Change watches the mortal world, weeping not from regret, but from longing. She whispers to the stars, "Immortality without love is but an endless night." And below, Hu Ye's name echoes across generations as the hero who tamed the suns but lost his heart to the moon. Chapter 9. The heavenly balance restored after the terrifying wrath of the fire god and the floods of Gong. The world lay scarred, mountains broken, rivers diverted, and the skies unevenly tilted. Humanity struggled to survive amid the chaos. Yet Nuwa, the mother of the world, was not idle. Her heart ached for mortals and for the balance of heaven itself. Nuwa gathered her divine essence and rose into the heavens. She surveyed the land and the waters, tracing the scars left by fire and flood. Every tear she shed became a spring, every sigh a gentle breeze. Yet she knew that mere compassion would not restore order. She needed to mend the very foundations of creation. The pillars of heaven are fractured, and the pillars of earth are unstable, she murmured. I must act before the chaos consumes all. Repairing the sky, Nuwa began her work by collecting 5 colored stones from the depths of the mountains. Each stone shimmered with a distinct hue: red for fire, blue for water, green for life, white for purity, and black for the unknown. She melted them with her divine breath until they fused into a glowing, molten substance. Rising above the heavens, she poured the molten stones into the cracks of the sky. Flames of red stitched the broken horizon, waves of blue sealed the fissures in the clouds, and green, white, and black intertwined to stabilize the celestial order. With each pouring, the skies mended, and the stars slowly returned to their courses. The mortals below felt the shift. Winds calmed, rivers returned to their paths, and the seasons gradually resumed their rhythm. The pillars of the earth next. Nuwa turned her attention to the earth itself. The northern pillar, broken by Gongong's strike, threatened to collapse entirely. Nuwa raised her hands, molding massive dragons from clay. Each dragon coiled around a pillar, holding it firm with sinew and magic. Even the mightiest force cannot unbalance the world if the pillars hold strong, she whispered. She then used her divine power to fill the valleys with fertile soil, refill the lakes and rivers, and smooth the jagged mountains. Life returned slowly, but the scars remained as reminders of the consequences of divine conflict. Restoring humanity, Nuwa had not forgotten the mortals who had suffered. Many had perished in floods and fires, leaving families broken and villages deserted. She molded new humans from yellow clay, shaping them with her hands and breathing life into them. Rise, children of the earth, Nuwa intoned, to rebuild what was lost and to honor the balance that sustains all life. Some humans were molded individually by her hands, perfect and unique. Others she created by dipping a rope into clay and swinging it, scattering countless shapes across the land. These became the common people, countless and enduring. Nuwa taught them the arts of agriculture, fishing, and craft. She instructed them to honor the cycles of nature and to revere the forces of heaven and earth, the guardians of balance. Recognizing that the world was fragile, Nuwa appointed celestial guardians, the 4 divine beasts, azure dragon of the east, vermilion bird of the south, white tiger of the west, and black tortoise of the north, to watch over the lands and maintain harmony, even as mortals live and die. The guardians shall keep balance and remind them of the unity between heaven and earth, Nuwa declared. She placed them at the cardinal directions, each aligned with an element, wind, fire, water, and earth, to stabilize the energies flowing through the world. The lesson of resilience, with heaven repaired, earth mended, and humanity renewed. Nuwa gazed at the world she had shaped. The scars of past calamities were visible, but life had returned with resilience, stronger than before. Chaos may rise, but order can always be restored, she said. Even the greatest disaster can become a lesson, and those who survive will honor the gift of balance. Thus, the world entered a new age, a time of recovery, reverence, and harmony, guided by Nuwa's wisdom and compassion. Humanity thrived once more, learning to respect the powers that govern the earth and the heavens. Chapter 10. The Great Flood and the Rise of Civilization. After Nuwa repaired the heavens and stabilized the earth, the world seemed to breathe again. Rivers flowed smoothly, mountains stood firm, and forests whispered with the return of life. Yet, the balance of creation remained delicate. Mortals, though grateful, were still vulnerable to the forces of nature. One day, the heavens stirred, and the waters above began to surge. Clouds thickened into endless storms. Lightning split the sky, and rain poured without end. The rivers overflowed, swallowing villages. Valleys became lakes. Forests were swept away. The balance is fragile, Nuwa murmured, her divine eyes scanning the chaos. Mortals must learn, or they will perish. The flood descends. The floodwaters, a remnant of Pangu's cosmic shaping and the lingering rage of the elemental forces, swept across the land. People fled to hills and highlands, but many were carried away by the relentless currents. Animals struggled to survive, and crops were destroyed. the cries of mortals echoed into the heavens. Nuwa, determined to save humanity, descended from her celestial abode. Her presence brought calm to the storm, a gentle wind that steadied trees and carried frightened people to safety. With a wave of her hand, she created floating islands and elevated lands where humans could find refuge. Teaching survival, recognizing that mere survival was not enough, Nuwa began to teach humans the arts of civilization. She showed them how to build shelters from bamboo and stone, dig canals to control the flow of rivers, and create tools from wood and metal. Life is precious, and the earth can provide, she explained. But humans must work with nature, not against it. She taught them agriculture, planting grains that could withstand floods, tending orchards for sustenance, and domesticating animals for labor and food. Villages grew into towns, and towns into early cities, each learning to respect the rhythm of the world. The emergence of leaders. Nuwa encouraged some humans to become leaders and teachers. These wise individuals guided their communities, helping people cooperate to survive and thrive. They established laws and traditions, emphasizing fairness, respect, and harmony with the land. Power without wisdom is dangerous, Nuwa said. Those who lead must honor the balance that sustains all life. From these early leaders arose the first seeds of organized civilization. As humans built temples to honor the gods, erected bridges and walls, and recorded their stories for future generations. The role of the elements to prevent future disasters. Nuwa continued to shape the elements. She tamed the rivers with stone embankments, reinforced mountains with divine energy, and planted forests to hold the soil. The four cardinal guardians, azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise, were assigned to watch over the elements. Each guardian ensured that floods, storms, fires, and droughts would remain under control. The world must have checks and balances, Nuwa said. Even mortals play a part in maintaining harmony, the human covenant. Nuwa made a covenant with humanity. If they respected the land and honored the balance, life would endure. If they were reckless or cruel, chaos would rise again. I have shaped the heavens and the earth, but mortals must shape themselves, she warned. Your survival depends on wisdom, cooperation, and respect for all living things. The humans vowed to honor her guidance, building temples to worship her, and passing down her teachings from generation to generation. The lesson of resilience. The flood became a defining moment in human history. Those who survived were stronger, wiser, and more united. Humanity learned that the world could be both beautiful and dangerous, and that survival required courage, intelligence, and harmony with nature. Nuwa looked upon her creation with pride. Though the waters had tested mortals, they had emerged resilient. The land was renewed, civilization was rising, and the balance of heaven and earth seemed more stable than ever. From chaos comes wisdom, Nuwa whispered, and from trials comes civilization. The stage was set for a world where humans and gods coexisted, a world that could continue to grow under Nuwa's watchful eyes. Chapter 11. The Creation of Seasons and the Order of Nature. After the Great Flood had receded, Nuwa looked upon the world and realized that survival alone was not enough. Mortals needed a rhythm to their lives, a predictable order to guide planting, harvesting, and festivals. She knew that the cycles of the heavens and the earth must be aligned to create harmony. Without order, life cannot flourish, she said. The world needs the dance of time and the balance of nature. Shaping the sun and the moon, Nuwa lifted her hands toward the sky and molded the great sun, placing it in the east to rise each morning. Its warmth and light nurtured crops and forests alike. Then she shaped the moon, setting it in the west to watch over the night, guiding travelers and providing rhythm for time. Day and night must follow each other, Nuwa whispered. Light and shadow together sustain life. She also divided the sky into 12 sections, creating 12 months, each with its own significance and festivals for humanity. Stars were scattered across the heavens as guides and as reminders of divine order. The birth of seasons, Nuwa then turned to the land. She called forth the winds, teaching them to bring cool breezes and warm gusts at the proper times. She painted the earth with green for spring, gold for summer, crimson for autumn, and white for winter. Let the seasons teach mortals patience, preparation, and appreciation, she said. Spring would awaken the earth, encouraging planting and new life. Summer would bring growth and abundance. Autumn would teach harvest and reflection. Winter would bring rest, ensuring that life could renew itself. Rivers, mountains, and fertile lands. Nuwa walked the land and touched every mountain, every river, shaping them with precision. She carved paths for rivers to nourish the valleys and dug basins for lakes to store rain. She reinforced mountains to prevent landslides and floods, ensuring that humanity could settle safely. Every hill and stream must serve a purpose, Nuwa said. The earth itself must teach order and provide sustenance. The people watched in awe as fertile lands appeared where deserts had once threatened, and forests grew lush where chaos had reigned. The guardians of nature, to protect the balance she had created, Nuwa summoned the 4 divine beasts, the azure dragon of the east, vermilion bird of the south, white tiger of the west, and black tortoise of the north. Guard the winds, the rivers, the growth, and the seasons, she commanded. Ensure that order is maintained and that mortals can live in harmony with nature. The beasts took their positions, each aligned with a direction, a season, and an element. Together, they became living symbols of natural balance. The cycle of life, Nuwa observed the mortals as they adjusted to the new order. Farmers planted in spring, harvested in autumn, and rested in winter. Children learned the stories of the seasons, understanding the wisdom of patience, preparation, and gratitude. Life is a cycle, Nuwa said. Joy follows sorrow, growth follows dormancy, and light follows darkness. To live wisely, one must follow the rhythms of the earth and the heavens. Through her guidance, humanity began to flourish, learning not only survival but harmony. Villages became towns, and towns became centers of culture and learning. The eternal harmony with the sun and moon, the seasons, rivers, and mountains in place. Nuwa felt that the world had entered a new age. The land was fertile, the skies orderly, and humanity capable of thriving in the balance of nature. The world is now complete, Nuwa whispered. But balance must be preserved by all who inhabit it. Chaos may rise, but harmony can always be restored. And so, the rhythm of life continued, guided by the wisdom of Nuwa, the cycles of the heavens, and the guardians who watched over the earth. Chapter 12. The Legacy of Nuwa and the Eternal Balance with the Cycles of the Heavens Established. Rivers flowing steadily, mountains secure, and seasons unfolding in harmony. Nuwa gazed upon her creation. The world, once fractured by chaos and calamity, now thrived with life and order. Humans tilled the land, cities flourished, and nature pulsed with the rhythm of the divine. Balance is not merely a gift, Nuwa whispered. It is a responsibility for gods and mortals alike. Teaching the future, Nuwa understood that her work would endure only if humanity remembered the lessons of creation. She descended among them, not as a fearsome deity, but as a guiding presence, teaching them wisdom, compassion, and the principles of harmony. Respect the earth, honor the heavens, and live in accordance with the cycles of life, she instructed. She showed them the stars and explained the movements of the sun and moon, teaching the calendars and festivals that would guide their lives. She shared knowledge of agriculture, weaving, medicine, and art, the foundations of civilization. Through her teachings, humans learned that their survival depended not only on strength, but also on wisdom, cooperation, and reverence for nature. The guardians of the world to ensure that the balance she created would persist. Nuwa entrusted the 4 divine beasts, azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise, with the eternal guardianship of the cardinal directions, elements, and seasons. Guardians will watch over the world, but balance must be maintained by all who dwell upon it, Nuwa said. The dragons became symbols of protection, guidance, and the enduring connection between heaven, earth, and humanity. Through them, the divine presence remained, even as mortals walked the land independently. The enduring harmony, Nuwa, then returned to the heavens, her work complete, yet her presence felt everywhere, in the rivers, the mountains, the skies, and in the hearts of humans who honored her teachings. Life is a tapestry woven from chaos and order, she reflected. One cannot exist without the other. My legacy will endure as long as mortals remember balance, respect, and harmony. Even the scars left by past disasters, the tilted mountains, deep rivers, and vast plains, became reminders of the lessons learned. Humanity, now wiser and more resilient, continued to flourish, building temples, writing stories, and passing down the knowledge of Nuwa from generation to generation. The eternal message, the story of Nuwa and Pangu, carries an eternal message that creation is a delicate balance of forces, and that even divine power is exercised through responsibility, wisdom, and compassion. Humanity's survival, prosperity, and happiness depend on the respect of natural laws and harmony with the world around them. From chaos rises order, Nuwa's voice echoed through the mountains and rivers. From disorder comes growth. From struggle comes wisdom. The world will endure if balance is honored. Thus, the world, shaped by Pangu and perfected by Nuwa, continued its eternal dance, sun and moon, seasons, rivers, and mountains, a testament to the enduring harmony between gods, nature, and humanity.